Have you ever felt like someone was controlling you without you even realizing it? If the answer is yes, believe me, you're not alone. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This is Dr. Nicole, and we're going to delve into 5 signs that you are being manipulated or somehow controlled and what to do before it's too late. Okay, so we've probably heard a lot about narcissism, narcissistic abuse, and all of these things that we're becoming more aware of in relationships. But sometimes we have to take it back to basics. Outside of the labels of whether someone is a narcissist or not, you need to be able to recognize the signs of manipulation in a relationship. Now, a lot of what I'm talking about, I'm referring to romantic relationships, intimate relationships. But these things can take place in so many other types of relationships. It can be in friendships, sometimes with family members, and even at work, right? So these are toxic behaviors and toxic patterns that in this day and age, we all need to know or understand how to recognize them and know what to do once we see the signs. Now, before I go into the 5 signs, I do want to share this one thing with you. One of the best protections, or one of the best antidotes, one of the things that can really protect you from control and manipulation in relationships is knowledge of self. Knowing yourself, knowing how to trust yourself so that you don't doubt when you start to see these things. Okay. So, self knowledge and self-understanding, self-awareness is key. And usually the more self-aware you are, or the more you're willing to trust your gut and what you're experiencing, it makes it harder for manipulators and controllers to go too far with you, right? They're usually looking for signs of doubt and signs that they can get in and do their manipulation or control tactics. And those are the people that they look for vulnerabilities, right? And this is not to blame anybody, but this is to say we've all got to be aware, including being self aware, because that is the best protection. All right. So get your pen and paper, because these are the 5 signs that someone is trying to manipulate you or control you. And you need to know these signs before it's too late. The first is guilt tripping, right? Sign number 1 is guilt tripping. This is if someone is constantly trying to make you feel guilty for not doing what they want you to do. Right. So this is a clear sign of manipulation. So they might say, if you really cared about me, you would do X, Y, and Z, whatever that thing is. If you really loved me, if you were really compassionate, right? They try to play on qualities that they know you value about yourself. Most of us value being caring and compassionate and wanting the best for people we're in relationship with. And so they'll play on that. They will try to guilt trip you based on your own values. So this is one of the key phrases. If you really cared about me, you would do X, Y, and Z. And that's a horrible communication tactic. So if that's one that you use, you want to stop, right? Because you don't want to have to corner someone into doing what you want them to do, right? You want people to do it of their own free will. So you shouldn't have to use guilt and other harmful tactics to get someone to care for you. And in the same way, a person who cares about you should not use those types of phrases or tactics, right? So whenever you hear, if you really cared about, loved, wanted me or whatever, were concerned about me, you would do this thing that they want you to do, then really that should raise the antenna for you, because that is a sign that someone is trying to guilt trip you. And at the very least, they're lacking communication to just state what they want and to be able to accept what you want or hear what you want. Okay. So that's sign number 1, guilt tripping. Sign number 2 is gaslighting, right? I know you've all heard this phrase, it's thrown around a lot, but it is actually a real thing that happens. Gaslighting is when someone makes you question your reality. Okay. They might deny things that they have said or done. And this makes you, for example, doubt your memory or your perception of things. It makes you doubt how you are experiencing the world and experiencing that person. And it can really it can take you off balance because it can start off very subtle. Sometimes a person will make you doubt because they will kind of make a face when you say something, or they will repeatedly say, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" And when you both know that that thing happened. So gaslighting is something that usually starts off pretty slowly and more subtly, and it builds up because what the person wants is for you to question yourself without really knowing that you're questioning yourself. And that's how they get you to slowly question or doubt your reality until it builds up to where someone could actually be, you could see it, as they say, with your own two eyes, and they will still deny it. Does anybody remember that song by Shaggy? It wasn't me, right? And it was like a guy narrating this cheating. He's like, "I know you caught us in the shower, but naked. I know you saw me in the bed with her. Like literally, you saw these things with your own two eyes, but hey, it wasn't me." Right? That is the quintessential example of gaslighting. All right. So when you start to feel that someone is making you question or doubt what you feel or what you've seen or what you've experienced, it's important that you speak up, right? And sometimes it could be an innocent, like we remember things differently or we have different views of things, but it's important to speak up about it and talk about it versus holding it all in and allowing your mind to play tricks on yourself where you're doubting yourself. So if you ask your partner about something and they say, "Well, I didn't say that," you say, "Well, no, I remember you saying that," right? So let the person know that you saw it or you're going to talk about it, that you're not just going to allow them to make you think that you're the one who's going crazy. Okay, so gaslighting is one of those key signs. The third sign that someone is trying to manipulate or control you is isolation. You see, all of these things work together. So once you've been guilt tripped and you've been gaslit and you're starting to question your reality, that all gets, compounded even more when a person tries to isolate you. Isolation is key. Manipulators will try to keep you away from your family and your friends, and it serves so many purposes. One is it makes you more dependent on them. Secondly, it reinforces the reality that they want you to see, and it reinforces them getting to you to question your own reality. So, if your main source of interaction and information is that manipulator, then it's easier for them to keep up the cycle of manipulation. Okay. So please know that anyone that really cares about you or loves you should not feel threatened by you having other support, other people, other networks in your life, whether that's friends, whether that's family that you're close to. And so, even if someone that you're in a relationship with doesn't agree with certain people in your life, that's about having a conversation. It should not be in the form of dictating or controlling or trying to tear you apart from people that you feel are important to you. Okay. So if you feel this happening and you're in a relationship, you should never cut off everybody. You always need to have one friend, at least one family member, one co-worker, work friend, work bestie, as they may say, or a network, a circle that you're a part of, because that keeps you grounded in a reality outside of this person who may be trying to manipulate you. Okay. Number four is these extremes. So it can be either extreme flattery or criticism, and they usually go back and forth between the two. So again, it can swing both ways, either overwhelming you with praise to make you feel almost indebted to them, like that they're putting you on this pedestal. And that can, sometimes we call it love bombing, right? But just constantly flattering you, making you feel good, kind of giving you that dopamine stroke. But at the same time, it can make you feel like you owe them or that nobody else is going to feel this way about me. So once you start maybe questioning other behaviors, they will use that constant praise, putting you on a pedestal to make you again feel like they're the only one that can see you in that positive light or love you that way. And then they can swing to the other side, which is criticism, constantly criticizing you about your looks or your personality. And this is not just regular conflict or disagreement. No one, just because you disagree in a relationship, that should not result in being called names, your looks put up, picked apart, something core about who you are as a person being just completely decimated, criticized, torn apart. That is not a part of a healthy relationship. And so they tend to go together, constantly praising you and then going to the other extreme of criticizing you, tearing you apart, really eating at your self esteem. So that is a key tactic of manipulators. And finally, number five is trying to control you through fear, using fear to control you. And this could be things like explicit statements threatening you, saying what will happen if you don't comply with their wishes, if and making vague threats sometimes. If you leave me, you'll regret it. You don't know what I might do, right? Kind of guilt tripping you and threatening you and using fear, playing on your fears, either of them hurting you or them hurting themselves, so that they can control your behavior. Okay. So again, as I said earlier, the protection of all of these is knowing yourself, knowing that real love is not controlling. Healthy relationships are not about trying to coerce you or make you doubt who you are. Real healthy relationships allow for people to have different perspectives and still come together, that you get a say and that person gets a say. No one should be trying to dominate you, control you, manipulate you, use tactics like fear or extreme criticism or making you doubt yourself. Those are not part of healthy communication, healthy connection, right? And I talk a lot about the importance of um, vulnerability, emotional vulnerability in a relationship in order to connect. But allowing yourself to be vulnerable with how you feel and be vulnerable with another person, that does not mean that you should be a doormat or stepped all over. And if you think that or you feel like a person that you're with is manipulative or controlling, it's important to have healthy boundaries, especially healthy emotional boundaries, right? So that means if someone is using things like constantly tearing you down or constantly using fear and gaslighting you, that is not a time to be ultra vulnerable with that person. Vulnerability is reserved for those who create emotional safety and healthy emotional boundaries for you. Okay. So again, the five signs that someone is trying to manipulate you and control you in your relationship: one, they're guilt tripping you; two, they're gaslighting you; three, they're trying to isolate you; four, they are using excessive compliments or flattery, or then on the other side, criticism; and five, they're using fear to control you. Okay. Let me know in the comments, have you ever experienced any of these signs? And have you experienced what I said, the fact that knowledge of self, building your self esteem, building your self love, that is the key to protecting yourself and reaching out for help. Never let yourself be completely isolated when someone is trying to manipulate or control you. Okay? Let me know how these tips hit with you. Don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you hit the notifications bell, share and like this video. And of course, I so appreciate your support. Don't forget to comment. I want to know how you feel and what you think about this topic. All right, take care and see you in the next video.